Have you ever wondered what happens when someone who once had everything loses it all in a single moment? If this story touches your heart, please share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We absolutely love hearing from you. The airport was loud and bright, but Amira sat in the darkest corner she could find, her back pressed against the cold wall near a big window. Outside, planes took off into the night sky, their lights blinking like tiny stars. Inside, people rushed past with their suitcases, talking on phones, buying coffee, going home to warm beds. Amira had no home to go to. Not anymore. Her 2 children, Io and Benny, were curled up next to her on the hard floor. They were 6 years old, both of them, twins with matching brown eyes that looked too tired for children so young. Io had her head on Amira's lap. Benny leaned against her side, his small hand holding tight to her worn jacket. They were hungry. They had been hungry for 2 days now. Amira looked at their sleeping faces and felt her heart break into even smaller pieces. She had failed them. She had promised them safety, promised them food and school and a future. Now all she had were empty pockets and nowhere to go. Her body ached from the cold floor. Her mind ached from the memories. She closed her eyes and remembered the day she found them. It was 4 years ago in Nairobi, in a narrow alley behind a market. She had been walking home from her cleaning job when she heard crying, not the regular crying of a child who wanted candy or attention. This was different. This was the sound of fear and loneliness. She found them there, hidden behind old cardboard boxes. 2 tiny babies, maybe 2 years old, wrapped in a dirty blanket. Someone had left them there like garbage. Their faces were covered in tears and dirt. They reached for her with their small hands, and in that moment, Amira made a choice. She had very little money. She lived in a small room with cracked walls and a roof that leaked when it rained. But she picked up those babies anyway. She took them home. She fed them the rice and beans she had saved for herself. She sang to them until they stopped crying. That night, holding those 2 small bodies close to her chest, Amira became a mother. She named them Io and Benny. Io because it meant joy in her grandmother's language. Benny because it sounded like blessing, and that's what they were to her. A blessing she didn't know she needed. For 2 years, they lived together in that small room in Nairobi. Amira worked 3 jobs: cleaning houses in the morning, washing dishes at a restaurant in the afternoon, and folding clothes at a laundry shop at night. The twin stayed with her neighbor, an old woman named Mama Grace, who loved children and didn't ask questions. It was hard, but they were happy. Io learned to count by touching Amira's fingers. Benny learned his colors from the flowers that grew in cracked pots outside their building. They didn't have much, but they had each other. Then Amira heard about a job in America. A rich family in New York needed a maid and nanny. The pay was good, so good that Amira could save money for the twin school, buy them warm clothes, maybe even find a bigger place to live. The agency helped her get a work visa. The family agreed to sponsor her. America was supposed to be the answer to everything. The Langston family lived in a huge house in Manhattan. The building had more rooms than Amira could count. Shiny floors that reflected the lights like mirrors. Paintings on the walls that cost more than Amira would make in 10 years. Everything was beautiful and cold at the same time. Mrs. Meredith Langston was tall and thin, with blonde hair that was always perfect and eyes that never smiled. She spoke to Amira like she was part of the furniture. Not mean exactly, but not kind either. Just empty. You'll clean the house from top to bottom every day, Mrs. Langston said on Amira's first day. You'll cook the meals I choose. You'll be invisible when we have guests. You'll never bring your personal life into this house. Do you understand? Amira understood. She needed this job, so she nodded and kept her head down. Mr. Langston was different. He was a big man with gray hair and a tired face. He worked all the time, always on his phone or computer, always rushing somewhere. He barely looked at Amira. Sometimes she wondered if he even knew her name. Amira lived in a tiny room on the top floor of the house. It was just big enough for a bed and a small table. She sent most of her money back to Nairobi to pay for Io and Benny's food and school. She talked to them on video calls every night, watching their faces light up when they saw her. "Mama, when are you coming home?" Io would ask. "Soon, my love." Amira would whisper, "Soon." But soon never came. Instead, the months turned into a year, then 2 years. Amira cleaned and cooked and stayed invisible. She watched Mrs. Langston throw away food that could feed a family for a week. She watched Mr. Langston buy his wife a new car because she was bored with the old one. The loneliness was like a heavy stone in Amira's chest. She missed her children so much that some nights she couldn't breathe. But she kept working. She kept sending money. She kept believing that all this pain would be worth it someday. The Langstons had parties sometimes. Rich people in expensive clothes would fill the house, drinking wine and laughing. Amira would serve them food on silver trays, and they would take the food without even looking at her face. To them, she was invisible. One night, after a party, Amira was cleaning up the dishes when she found a little girl's toy under the couch. It was a small stuffed rabbit with floppy ears. Someone's child must have dropped it. Amira held the toy in her hands and thought of Benny, who loved stuffed animals. She thought of Io, who would make up voices and stories for all her toys. Tears filled her eyes. "What are you doing?" Amira jumped. Mrs. Langston stood in the doorway, her arms crossed. "I found this toy, ma'am. I was just—" "Put it down and finish your work," Mrs. Langston said coldly. "And don't touch things that don't belong to you." Amira put the toy on the counter and went back to washing dishes. Her hands shook. She felt small and worthless, like she was nothing. That was the first moment Amira realized that maybe this job was breaking her. But she had no choice. Her children needed her. So she stayed and she endured, and she hoped that someday things would get better. She had no idea how much worse things were about to become. The day everything fell apart started like any other day. Amira woke up at 5 in the morning, before the sun came up. She made coffee for Mr. and Mrs. Langston, cooked breakfast, and cleaned the kitchen until it sparkled. By 8 o'clock, the house was perfect, and Amira was already tired. Mrs. Langston came downstairs wearing a white dress that probably cost more than all of Amira's clothes combined. She drank her coffee without saying good morning. She never did. "I have a charity event tonight," Mrs. Langston said, not looking at Amira. "Make sure the blue guest room is spotless. My friend Patricia will be staying over." "Yes, ma'am," Amira said quietly. Mrs. Langston walked away, her high heels clicking on the marble floor. Amira watched her go and felt that familiar emptiness in her chest. She had been working in this house for almost 3 years now. 3 years of being invisible. 3 years of missing her children's bedtimes, their laughter, their warm hugs. But tonight, she would video call them. That thought kept her going. Amira spent the whole day cleaning. She scrubbed floors, washed windows, changed sheets, and polished furniture. By 6 o'clock, the house looked like a palace. Everything was perfect. Then she heard the scream. "Where is it?" Mrs. Langston's voice echoed through the entire house. Amira's heart jumped. She ran toward the sound, her feet moving fast on the clean floors. Mrs. Langston stood in her bedroom, her face red with anger. Her jewelry box was open on her dresser. Necklaces and bracelets spilled out like a waterfall of gold and silver. "My diamond necklace," Mrs. Langston said, her voice shaking. "It's gone." Amira's stomach twisted. "Ma'am, I don't." "You were cleaning in here today, weren't you?" Mrs. Langston's eyes were like ice. "Yes, but I didn't touch." "You're the only one who comes into this room." Mrs. Langston's voice got louder. "You're the only one who could have taken it." Amira felt the world spinning. "No, ma'am. I would never. Please, I didn't take anything." Mr. Langston appeared in the doorway. His face looked confused and uncomfortable. "Meredith, what's going on?" "She stole my necklace." Mrs. Langston pointed at Amira like she was pointing at a criminal. "That necklace was worth $50,000. My mother gave it to me. $50,000. Amira could barely imagine that much money. That was more than she would make in 5 years. "Please," Amira whispered. Her hands were shaking. "I didn't take it. I swear, you can search my room." You can search everything I own. Of course I'll search your room. Mrs. Langston pushed past Amira and stormed up the stairs to the top floor. Amira followed, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might break through her chest. Mr. Langston came too, his face tight and worried. Mrs. Langston tore through Amira's small room like a tornado. She pulled open drawers, threw clothes on the floor, checked under the mattress, looked inside shoes. Amira stood in the doorway, watching her whole life being ripped apart. "It's not here," Mrs. Langston finally said. Her voice was cold and hard. "You must have hidden it somewhere else. Or maybe you already sold it." "No." Amira's voice broke. Tears ran down her face. "I didn't take it. Please believe me." "I want you out of this house," Mrs. Langston said. Each word was like a knife. "Right now, I don't want to see your face ever again." "But ma'am, please." Amira tried to speak, but Mrs. Langston held up her hand. "I should call the police. But I'm being generous. I'm giving you 1 hour to pack your things and leave. If you're still here after that, I will call them." Amira looked at Mr. Langston. Maybe it would help her. Maybe he would say something. But he just stood there, looking at the floor. He didn't say a word. That silence hurt more than anything. Amira packed her few belongings with shaking hands. Some clothes, a photo of Io and Benny, her passport and papers. Everything fit into one small bag. 3 years of her life, and this was all she had. As she walked down the stairs for the last time, Mrs. Langston stood in the hallway with her arms crossed. "I won't pay you for this month," she said. "Consider it payment for what you stole." Amira wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. She wanted to tell Mrs. Langston that she was wrong, that she was cruel, that Amira had given 3 years of her life to this cold house and this cold family. But she said nothing. She just walked out the front door. It was raining outside. Cold, heavy rain that soaked through Amira's thin jacket in seconds. She had nowhere to go. The small amount of money she had saved was in her room back in Nairobi, being used to feed and care for her children. She walked for hours through the rain. Her feet hurt. Her heart hurt more. She tried calling the agency that had helped her get the job, but they said there was nothing they could do. Without a reference from the Langstons, no other family would hire her, and with the accusation hanging over her head, she was finished. Amira found a shelter that night, a place for people with no homes. She slept on a cot, surrounded by strangers. She cried into her thin pillow and thought about Io and Benny. How would she tell them? How would she send the money now? The next morning, she made the hardest phone call of her life. "Mama Grace," she said when the old woman answered, "I need you to do something for me." She explained what had happened. She told Mama Grace to use the last of the money to buy plane tickets for the twins. She would bring them to America. Somehow, she would figure it out. At least they would be together. "Are you sure?" Mama Grace asked, her voice worried. "You have no job, no home. How will you care for them?" "I'll find a way," Amira said. "I have to. They're my children." 3 days later, Io and Benny arrived at JFK Airport. Amira met them at the gate. They ran to her with their arms wide open, and she held them so tight she thought she might break. "Mama," Io cried, "we missed you so much." "I missed you more," Amira whispered into their hair. But the happiness didn't last long. Reality crashed down like a wave. Amira had $43 in her pocket. No job, no home, no plan. She took the twins to a cheap motel. But after 2 nights, her money was gone. The motel manager told her to leave. So Amira did what she had to do. She took her children back to the airport. At least there, it was warm. At least there, they could sit for a while without being kicked out. That's where they were now, sitting on the cold floor in a dark corner, hiding from security guards, trying to be invisible again. Amira bought a small bag of crackers with her last $5. She gave most of them to Io and Benny, watching them eat like they were the most delicious thing in the world. Her own stomach hurt from hunger, but seeing her children eat made it better. "Mama, where are we going to sleep tonight?" Benny asked. His voice was small and scared. "Don't worry, my love." Amira lied. Everything will be okay. But she didn't know if that was true. She was so tired, so scared, so lost. The twins finally fell asleep, their small bodies pressed against hers for warmth. Amira stared at the ceiling, at the bright lights, at the people rushing past them like they were invisible. She had hit the bottom. There was nowhere lower to fall. Then she heard footsteps stop in front of her. Amira looked up, expecting a security guard tell her to leave. Instead, she saw a man in an expensive suit. His face looked familiar, but she was too tired to place it at first. Then her heart stopped. It was Mr. Langston. He stood there staring at her, his mouth open in shock. His eyes moved from Amira to the sleeping twins, then back to Amira. "Amira," he whispered. She couldn't speak, couldn't move. After everything his wife had done, after he had stood there silent, while Amira's life fell apart, here he was. What are you doing here?" he asked. His voice sounded broken. Amira wanted to be strong. She wanted to be proud, but she was too tired for pride. "I have nowhere else to go," she said simply. Mr. Langston looked at the twins again, really looked at them this time, at their thin faces, at their worn clothes, at the way they held on to Amira even in sleep. "Are these your children?" he asked quietly. Amira nodded. Something changed in Mr. Langston's face. The tiredness, the distance, the coldness, it all cracked open, and underneath, Amira saw something she had never seen before. Guilt. "Oh, God," he whispered. "What have we done?" If this story is touching your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. We love hearing from you. So drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Mr. Langston stood frozen, staring at Amira and her children. His expensive suit looked out of place in this corner of the airport, where broken people try to hide from the world. "How long have you been here?" he asked. Amira's voice was barely a whisper. 2 days. 2 days. His face went pale. "Have you eaten? Have the children eaten?" "We had some crackers," Amira said. She didn't want to tell him that those crackers were gone now, that her children had gone to bed hungry, that she had no idea what tomorrow would bring. Mr. Langston ran his hand through his gray hair. He looked like a man seeing something terrible for the first time, even though it had been there all along. "The necklace," he said suddenly. Meredith found it. It was in her car the whole time. It had fallen between the seats. The words hit Amira like a punch to the chest. The necklace, the thing that had destroyed her life. It had been there all along. "She found it 3 days after you left," Mr. Langston continued. His voice was thick with shame. "I told her we needed to find you, to apologize, to bring you back. But she said—" He stopped, looking away. "What did she say?" Amira asked. She needed to know. She said it didn't matter, that you were just a maid, that we could find someone else. Mr. Langston's hands were shaking. "And God help me, I didn't fight hard enough. I should have looked for you. I should have made it right. But I got busy with work, and I told myself you probably found another job, and His voice broke. "I failed you. Completely." Amira had imagined this moment so many times. The moment when someone would admit she had been wronged. She thought she would feel angry, thought she would yell and scream, and make him feel the pain she had felt. But looking at him now, seeing real guilt in his eyes, she just felt tired. "Why are you here?" she asked. "At the airport, I mean." "I'm flying to Boston for a meeting," he said. "But that doesn't matter now. What matters is making this right." "You can't make this right," Amira said quietly. "I lost my job, my home, my reputation. No one will hire me now. And my children—" She looked down at Io and Benny, still sleeping despite the noise around them. "They're hungry, Mr. Langston, and I can't feed them." Mr. Langston's face twisted like he was in physical pain. He pulled out his phone. "I'm canceling my meeting," he said. "Right now, we're going to fix this." "There's nothing to fix," Amira said. She was too tired to hope anymore. Hope hurt too much. "Please," Mr. Langston said. And that one word, coming from a man who had never said please to her before, made Amira look up. "Please let me try. I know I can't undo what's been done, but I can do something." I have to do something. He made a phone call. Then another. Then another. Amira sat there, not understanding what was happening, trying not to let herself believe anything could change. 30 minutes later, a car pulled up outside the airport. A nice black car with a driver who opened the door and helped Amira and the twins inside. The twins woke up confused, rubbing their eyes. "Mama, where are we going?" Io asked, her voice scared. "I don't know," Amira said honestly, but she held her children close. Mr. Langston sat in the front seat. He directed the driver to a hotel in Manhattan. Not just any hotel, one of the fancy ones with gold doors and people in uniforms standing outside. "Mr. Langston, I can't afford," Amira started to say. "I'm paying for everything," he said firmly. "This is not charity. This is me trying to fix a terrible wrong." They went inside. The hotel lobby was so beautiful it hurt to look at. Crystal lights hung from the ceiling. The floors were so shiny Amira could see her reflection. She looked down at her worn clothes and felt ashamed. But Mr. Langston didn't seem to notice or care. He spoke to the woman at the front desk and got a key to a suite. A suite. Amira had clean suites like this at the Langston house. She never imagined staying in one. The room had 2 bedrooms, a living area, and windows that showed the whole city sparkling with lights. There was a bowl of fresh fruit on the table, a bathroom with towels so soft and white they looked like clouds. Io and Benny walked around with their mouths open, touching everything gently like they were afraid it might disappear. "Are we dreaming, Mama?" Benny whispered. "I don't know," Amira whispered back. Mr. Langston ordered food. So much food. Sandwiches and soup and pasta and bread and vegetables and dessert. When it arrived, the twins ate like they had never seen food before. Amira watched them, tears streaming down her face. After they ate, after Io and Benny were full and sleepy and happy, Mr. Langston sat down across from Amira. His face was serious. "I need to tell you something," he said, "and I need you to listen to all of it before you say anything." Amira nodded. "What Meredith did was wrong. What I did, standing there and doing nothing, was worse. You deserve better. You deserve to be treated like a human being, not a servant we could throw away." He took a deep breath. "I can't give you back the time you lost. I can't erase the pain. But I can give you something else." He pulled out some papers from his briefcase. Official-looking papers with lots of words Amira didn't understand. "These are trust documents," he explained. "For Io and Benny, I've set up education funds for both of them, enough to pay for their school all the way through college, medical insurance, and a fund that will give you money every month to help with living expenses until you get back on your feet." Amira stared at the papers. "I don't understand." "It means your children will be taken care of," Mr. Langston said. His voice was gentle now. "It means you won't have to choose between feeding them and keeping a roof over their heads. It means they'll have a chance at a good life." "Why?" Amira asked. "Why would you do this?" Mr. Langston was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was raw with emotion. "Because I have 3 children of my own," he said. "And if someone treated them the way my wife treated you, if someone let them go hungry and scared the way I let your children go hungry and scared, I would want someone to step in. I would want someone to do the right thing." He looked her in the eyes. "This isn't about making myself feel better. This is about doing what should have been done from the beginning. Seeing you, really seeing you." Amira's hands shook as she held the papers. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Mr. Langston said. "I don't expect your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I do want to help. And more than that, I want to make sure this never happens to anyone else." He told her more about his plans. He was going to speak to other wealthy families, educate them about treating their workers with dignity and respect. He was going to support organizations that help domestic workers who had been mistreated. He was going to use his voice and his money to make real change. Will it fix everything? No, he admitted. But it's a start, and it's what I should have been doing all along. That night, after Mr. Langston left, after she put Io and Benny to bed in the soft, clean sheets, Amira stood by the window looking out at the city. The lights twinkled like stars. Somewhere out there, other people were struggling. Other people were hungry and scared and invisible. But tonight, in this moment, Amira was safe. Her children were safe. And for the first time in so long, she could breathe. She thought about everything that had happened. The pain, the injustice, the fear. It didn't disappear just because someone helped her. Those scars would always be there. But maybe, just maybe, those scars could turn into something else. Maybe her story could help others. Maybe her survival could light the way for someone else who was lost in the dark. Io appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. "Mama, are you okay?" Amira turned and smiled. A real smile this time. "Yes, my love. I'm okay." "Are we going to be okay?" Io asked. Amira knelt down and pulled her daughter into a hug. "Yes," she said. And this time, she believed it. "We're going to be more than okay. We're going to be just fine." In the other room, Benny was already dreaming. Probably dreaming of the fruit they had eaten, or the soft bed, or the toys Mr. Langston had promised to bring tomorrow. Amira looked at the trust documents on the table, at the promise of a future she thought was lost forever, at the proof that sometimes, even after the darkest night, morning could still come. She thought about Mr. Langston, about his guilt and his genuine desire to change. She didn't forgive him yet. Forgiveness would take time, maybe forever, but she could accept his help. She could take this gift and use it to build the life her children deserved. And maybe, just maybe, she could use her voice too, to speak for the others who were still invisible, to tell her story so that other people would understand what it felt like to be unseen. The city sparkled outside her window. Somewhere in that city, the Langston mansion stood cold and empty of kindness. But here, in this hotel room, warmth was growing. Amira picked up her phone. She thought about all the people she wanted to call. Mama Grace, to tell her they were safe. The shelter where she had stayed. To thank them. The other maids she had met over the years. To tell them that someone had finally seen her. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. There would be paperwork to fill out, plans to make, a new life to build. But tonight, she could rest. She went to the bedroom and crawled into bed next to Io. On the other side, Benny stirred and reached out his small hand. Amira took it and held tight. "Thank you," she whispered into the darkness. Not to Mr. Langston, not to God, not to anyone in particular, just to the universe that had finally given her a break. Her children were safe. They would go to school. They would grow up with full bellies and warm beds and chances to become whatever they wanted to be. And Amira, she would keep being what she had always been, a mother who loved her children more than anything in the world. But now she could be more. She could be seen. She could be heard. She could be the voice for others who had no voice. The last thing she remembered before falling asleep was Io's soft breathing and Benny's warm hand in hers, and the quiet, powerful knowledge that tomorrow was a new day, a day full of hope.